You're looking live from Morrison Stadium. Well, not really, but I'm your host, Jake Anderson. I'm joined today by Nick Rubek. We are going to preview the games that'll be at the venue on the virtual screen behind me in about 5 hours. The Class A games tonight and the Class B games tomorrow. Nick, it's coming to an end, that 8-day event. Do you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah. Yeah, we got through the hard part. Now comes the fruit of all of our labors. So good matchups in all four finals. So excited to kind of break those down.
Yeah, and those Class A games tonight are great. The Class B games tomorrow might be even better, and that's saying something. But let's start right off the top with that Class A girls final. Number 1, Gretna coming in 20-1 against number 5, Millard North 13-7. We talked about it before we came in, or before the tournament. Millard North, they kind of got hot at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. I joked this morning on Twitter that, I picked all of the other games right other than Millard North, but I called them a sleeper. And I think I have to get half credit for that, but they've put it together, man. They had the pieces. I know they got a couple of additional pieces kind of as the season went along right after the Metro tournament, get a really good piece back and have added through the course of the year. But yeah, I mean, they are every bit the championship contender that they have been in most years, and most people may see 7 losses and kind of dismiss them, but it started with that district game against Gretna, and it's going to end in a district championship game against Gretna, and then so they got their chance at it, and that one is going to be a fun one to start the night.
Let's go to the Dragons, and I think this might be the latest in talking about Gretna soccer. We've mentioned Sarah Weber, the Nebraska. She set the Class A record with 47 goals. She's not their only offensive threat, as we've talked before on this, but they just in districts lost to Millard North. What adjustments can they make? You mentioned in their first round of the state tournament, they kind of had a little bit of that gut check moment going into shootout, and where in district finals against Millard North, they had some of their players, they didn't raise their hand. I want to go in the shootout in that first round. They're no fear. What's different for them?
Honestly, I think when you cruise the way a team like Gretna cruised this year, you may not think there's a challenger out there. I mean, they won the Metro tournament and outscored people, 1 billion to 2 or whatever. I mean, it was pretty silly. So, you get into and Gretna coach Digger Hawkins told me, their training kind of lacked a little bit, and so an eye opener like that's probably not the worst thing ever. I think they've looked locked in. That semifinal that they had against Lincoln East the other day was as high level of a high school girls soccer game as you'll see. Those were 2 very good teams, maybe the 2 best teams. And you really saw all the talent come out. Both of those teams played really well. So it wasn't one team played well and the other one didn't. They took it to a shootout, and Gretna came out on top. You're right. Sarah, it's funny to say that we haven't talked a ton about Sarah Weber with how much of a impact she's had in the state tournament. One thing I've noticed over her last couple of games is her kind of thing that more of her chances have come from outside the box, and she is capable of putting those in. It will be interesting to see how much space Millard North gives her. She's got a laser, and you really can't give her too much space. She hasn't connected on one of those yet over the last week or so, but one of those changes everything in a state championship match. So that would be something I'd keep an eye on.
Definitely. And in your pick, you gave the edge to the Dragons with their offensive firepower. I don't think anyone would be surprised to see Millard North win title number 8 as the number 8 seed. They showed ability to score against Marion and defend against Lincoln Southwest, and they just beat Gretna 2 weeks ago. So this one is going to be an interesting battle.
Yeah. I mean, I think Gretna's locked in. I think it's going to help them seeing that team that beat them a couple of weeks ago. So I think you'll see the best that Gretna has out there. But Millard North has played with house money now for 2 weeks and keeps doubling down. So that one will be an awesome one to get the day started.
And our second Class A game of Tuesday is the boys title, which is another good one. Number 2 Omaha South 19-1 against number 1 Lincoln Southwest 17-0 undefeated. And South coach Joe Moss paid Southwest a bit of a compliment with saying they remind him of some quality Creighton prep teams.
Yeah. Another program that doesn't get to play the underdog card much, and I imagine they are this week. But I think we've talked on these a couple of times that Southwest is just very solid throughout. They are not going to overwhelm you with flash or sizzle at any point, but they are not going to beat themselves. And in a lot of cases, they're going to do all the things that need to get done to beat you. So just a fascinating matchup. Like I had said earlier this week, if there's a team that has a blueprint to beat a team that looks like prep, it would be South. They've played prep multiple times for the last 8-10 years. That game, that's a coin flip for me. I think South could win that one very easily. I picked Southwest. I think you have to give the edge to the unbeaten team. I think that one goes the distance, and South won in a shootout to win their state title in 2019. Southwest has a Division I keeper. I give a slight edge to the latter there, but yeah. Give me all that. They can play for 6 days, and I would watch 6 days of those teams playing each other.
The old adage in hockey and a little bit in soccer as well is the goalie at the right time can lead you to a title.
Yeah.
And the Division I keeper, I think sometimes that's all you need, especially in a full 80 minutes plus overtime. But as you're saying, South, you mentioned it. If South can flip that switch on, they can get hot. They can run right through it. And look at that. They've averaged almost 4 goals per game over the past month against high quality opponents.
Yeah. I agree. A Division I keeper is the trump card in that whole thing. But South has the ability to, when that flip is switched and they are kind of engaged, there's not anybody at that level. So get to that level, which very easily could happen on this stage under those lights with TV and a packed house down there. And yeah, you could see South put on a show for sure.
Yeah. So that's Tuesday. 2 great games there. Wednesday might be the day I'm most excited for, and it feels kind of weird saying that considering it's Class B, and Class B is kind of usually viewed as that undercard. That first girls game, Omaha Skutt 19-1 against Norris 20-0, and you kind of get the sense from after those semifinal games that Skutt is looking at Norris and saying, "Oh, you're undefeated. That's cute."
I think they would play the underdog card too. We have a theme going here of powerhouse programs that are as soon as they get the chance to put a chip on their shoulder, they're going to do that. I think Skutt is doing probably what they should do and say that Norris is the undefeated team and they're going to be a tough matchup. In reality, I think Skutt is a cut above everyone. To be perfectly honest with you, I think Skutt would be in this same position even if they were in Class A. I think they would be in a state final, challenging for a state championship, no matter what class they're in. I know the score I predicted was 5-2 Skutt. Ironically enough, that I've talked to 2 other coaches, and before they even knew I picked that, they also had that same score line, 5-2. So I think Skutt is the better team. Now, we talked about this last time. Skutt's been in this position before and was the better overall team and ran into a hot team with a dynamic score a few years ago. Skylar Heinrich from Elkhorn got him twice in a state final. And that Skutt team was better than that Elkhorn team, but Skylar Heinrich was the best player on the field that day and showed it. I don't think Norris's Molly Ramsey is on that level of Skylar Heinrich in terms of soccer, but she's an athlete. She's got speed. She could pop them for a couple, and all of a sudden now Skutt's chasing a game. So while I would consider Skutt a pretty significant favorite, we've considered them a pretty significant favorite before in this position. So they'll have to go out and actually finish the job.
What else is notable about that 5-2 prediction is the Skyhawks 4 goals shy of tying the record for most scored in a state tourney. And you're kind of looking at that and saying, okay, Skutt's been this blazing firepower team. Norris is undefeated. One team's playing that underdog card. One team is, you're looking at it, and it feels like it should be a runaway.
Yeah. Well, and Norris, Norris has been leaky a little bit defensively. They gave up a couple. They trailed twice against a good Duchesne team in yesterday's semifinals. So Skutt's offense, when it gets going, it gets going. And, they've put up 7 in both state tournament games. And so I think the most consistent part of that match is Skutt's offense. And if Skutt's offense comes through, I think that they would be considered a heavy favorite.
Yeah. One last note on this game, and then I want to move on to the Class B boys game. You had this stat that really stood out to me. These teams, Norris and Skutt, played 6 common opponents. Norris is undefeated, as they are on the season, 7-0 against those opponents, and outscored them 26-5. Skutt, 9-0 in all those matchups, outscored teams 49-2. That, to me, underscores Skutt's firepower on offense, and a really underrated thing that we haven't talked about with Skutt, their defense. So then moving on to that, we might have a Skutt sweep, but that Lexington's going to have something to say about it. Class B's version of Omaha South Creighton Prep.
Yeah. Before we jumped on, I think I described it to you guys as Prep South Light. And I truly see it that way. Skutt is the prep type program, has had all the success, all the pedigree, all the history. Lexington is the South that wants to establish itself as kind of the other team to beat in the class. And when Prep South became Prep South is when South started winning these kind of games. The games that mattered, you can win a regular season game. You can win, Lexington won when the teams played in 2010 at the state tournament in the first round. You can win a first round game. Those things are all nice and dandy. But when there's a trophy on the line, when there are going to be hard feelings afterwards, that's the one you got to win. And so tomorrow night is an opportunity for Lexington to take that next step. And conversely for Skutt, it's an opportunity to add another back-to-back to its resume. They did it twice already. They won in 19 before the 2020 season was canceled, but they've got a chance to kind of establish a small little run of a dynasty there, especially with that keeper, Zach Weiss, defender, John Myers. They've been there, man. They've been there all along. And, both teams have opportunities to do something, and that one's going to be juicy. I mean, that's one. If Lexington wins, they may party in the rain in downtown Omaha all night. And if Skutt wins, I think you really have to consider them and look at their season as one of the top programs in the state, no matter what. You know, their only loss in the year to this Lincoln Southwest team that's playing for a Class A championship. The teams went 100 minutes scoreless and went to a shootout that Southwest wins. So, you know, if Skutt comes out on top tomorrow night, they are right there.
And to that note, you called Skutt, you said, is very clinical. You get the feeling that Lexington wants to bring the Skyhawks down to their level, kind of muck it up a little bit. How can they do that?
They're going to do it through the middle. You know, their midfield is, I mean, Skutt would have a problem with them being called, with Lexington being called the best midfield in the state, and I would understand that. But they're right there. You know, I think the word I used was dizzying. You know, they if you want to chase them around the midfield, you're gonna do it at your own peril because you're not going to catch them, and eventually you're going to be behind them. So, if Lexington's going to win, I think you would see that. But again, that's going to be just such another kind of coin flip type of match. So, you know, those are the ones we always want to see for sure.
And you have I got to ask here, a couple of your picks, you have Skutt Lexington going to overtime. You have another couple that shoot out. Have all of the 4 title games ever gone to overtime, extra time, shootout?
I don't know, but if you're trying to jinx us, Jake, then I am not going to be super excited about that result. You know, I don't know. You know, different format this year, and I know we've talked about that previously, where it used to be boys one night, girls the next night. This year, Class A one night, Class B the next night. And so, you know, that first game, it sometimes kind of, just like you had said, kind of got swept aside a little bit as the undercard, no matter how good it was. And we've seen some absolute dandies in Class B. But that's one of the things I'm looking forward to over the next 2 days is having, you know, 2 high-level Class A games the first night, and then all of the storylines that we've just gone over in the Class B games tomorrow.
Yeah. So now that it's laid out there, it's the reverse jinx, no overtime game, every game
Yeah.
5-0. No, we'll have some good close matches. I want to thank you for helping us preview these. And until next time, thanks for watching.